Okay, so it looks like we have a bigger class today. And I know that some of you are probably confused. You were not sure if the class was online or actually taught here in class. So I emailed everybody just, I don't know when I sent the email. Maybe it was this morning. But I just emailed everybody to clarify about the class. So we are meeting here, online class, at least this semester. And we're gonna be meeting for right now from 3:40 to 5. So we're gonna check on that if the schedule is conflicting with the other class session before this. But this is the time that we're in schedule to start now. So for those of you that were not here on last week, our first day of class, we had an introduction to the course, and we're going to be using a lot of Blackboard in this course. So all the course materials, the syllabus, all the course information, they can all be found on Blackboard. So let me just turn it on here, turn my screen on so you can see all this information there. That's good. Okay, so before we get started on this, I'm just gonna try to call everybody and see who's here, who's not here. So we have Halen's here. Would you like to stand up since today is your first day, and then tell everybody where you're from and what your major is, and what else? If you have any plans after graduating in regards to like a dream job, something that you see yourself doing in the future.
My name is Halen. I'm from Laie. Senior this year. I'll be graduating in April. Art. My major is art. As far as for the future, I'm looking at, and if it's possible, I'm looking at joining that Disney college program for a few months, and I'll see if that works out. See where I can go from there. But other than that, we'll see. That's kind of one idea of what I want to do there.
That's good.
Okay.
Good. Thanks, Halen. And today's your first day also, right? Yeah. You want to stand up? So tell us your name.
Hi, my name is Susan, and I'm from Korea. I've been here since summer term, so 3 months. And after graduate school, I want to be a designer. I'm not sure, industrial design or interior design.
Nice.
I want to design it.
Very good. And what is your major now in school?
It's TESOL, but I want to change it. Towards
Nice.
design.
Oh, good. Thank you, Susan. That's good. So, did you add the class recently?
Last week, yeah.
Last week. Okay. So, because I think my list here is a little old, so that's why I still don't have it, but it's probably on the computer already. Okay. So, who else is here for the first day? Okay, go ahead.
Hi, I'm from Hong Kong. My name is Angel. And this study about park here in your listeners. So it's about me, just kind of by your age. And recently from Hong Kong, and this is the first day I can say, because the last at the class like on Friday. So
Oh, yeah.
that's why.
That's good. Yeah, I have you on my list already. So you are you taking photography this semester? No, right? Okay, sorry, somebody else. Okay. Where else? Clark.
My name's Clark. I'm graphic design major and pre-med, and I'm from Las Vegas. I've been here 2 years.
Oh, nice. Good. Thank you. Also, you do want to focus in graphics,
Yeah.
graphic design. Very good. Nice. And then,
Oh, I'm Brennan, and I'm just starting the class, and my major is engineering, so.
good. Thank you, Brandon. Right. Okay, so for those of you that were not here last week, I'm just going to do a quick overview here where you can find all the materials for the course. So if you go on the course materials, you're going to see syllabus. And these are things, handouts, things that we're going to be learning in class. So today we're going to start getting to some of these documents here. Now, your assignments, I changed them here to the assignment tab. Okay, so it's not too confusing. So here you're going to find only your assignments. Okay, so the Photoshop lessons are first. This is something I'm going to tell you when we're going to start working on this. And then the first project is right here, the balance. So after the first project, we're going to start working on the assignments. So assignment 1 is actually different from project 1. So here are all the assignments that we're going to be working. And you're going to see sometimes in one assignment you have a few other documents here under the assignment. Because usually I give you a template to work on the project, on the assignment. So that's what those files are. But we're going to talk more about it when we give you the assignment. Okay? Course information, course documents. No. Let's go back. Course materials. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about these two things here. I think I already downloaded them on my computer. Last week we had a little bit of a discussion on design and what design is. And we talked about, for example, in this room here, you can see a lot of things that were designed by other people, right? For example, what were some of the things we talked about? The computer, what else?
Us and
Us?
things around us.
Yeah, like even ourselves, right? We can tell we all look different. And what else? Our glasses or jewelry, backpacks, bags, your clothes, you name it, your watches, and even this very room was designed by someone. The furniture. So we talked about those things also last week. And then today we're going to talk about here, to design is to plan. Okay, so what we're going to be doing in this course is basically we're going to be organizing visual information. So design is kind of like organizing, we can say. And how do we do that? Those are the things we're going to learn in this course. Okay, so you're going to try to learn how to control, what takes place in a composition. So as we talked about last week, you're going to start your projects with what? A blank screen in front of you. Not a piece of paper, but in your case, it's going to be a blank screen. And you're going to have to decide what will take place, how you're going to start your composition, what kind of elements you're going to use. And we're going to get into more details, talk about those elements of design, the tools that you have to work with. Okay? Let's take a look at the second paragraph here. So designing requires a climate that allows for creativity. You guys agree with that? So you gotta try and be creative as much as we can, right? In order to come up with our design projects. So you're gonna be solving visual problems. We also talk a little bit about this, right? Last class. You're gonna constantly be solving different challenges as you design. And you're gonna have to learn also what? How to communicate your ideas with art or with design in this case. Okay, how you're gonna express what you're trying to communicate. And so after this, we're gonna learn a little bit more about the principles, and then you have to learn where and when to use them. So those are the important things. And when you learn those things, you're gonna be have come a long way towards being a good designer. Okay, so let's talk about art here. The first paragraph. Let's see. Can I have a volunteer to read this for me? The first paragraph. Okay, go ahead, Clark.
Art is one of the principal ways people communicate and express themselves. It is easier to understand art if you know the fundamental concepts used to make it. Throughout the course, you will explore these ideas while creating your own artwork. If you continue to investigate art, you will have many opportunities to use and improve your understanding of the ideas taught in this course. Even if you do not pursue art, you will need to make aesthetic judgments about art, or at least about consumer goods throughout your life. Art requires skill, knowledge of aesthetics, and the ability to communicate.
Okay, so let's discuss a little bit about what Clark just read here about art. Okay, so do you guys agree that it's one of the ways people used to communicate and express themselves? Okay, and so it's easier for us to understand that if we understand the principles that are used to make it. Okay, and this is what we're gonna do in this class. We're gonna try to understand that. And what else? The last sentence here says that even if you do not pursue art, let's say you're not an art major, or you're gonna work with something else, but is it important that you have this knowledge? It says here that you need to make aesthetic judgments in your life, about art all the time, right? Even for things that you buy, or maybe you're gonna be, like we said last class, you're gonna be a big boss and somebody's gonna show you their project and you're gonna have to say, okay, this is good or this is not good, So it is good that you have this knowledge about art and aesthetics and how to communicate through that. Okay, what about skills? So first, you know what art is. You have an eye, you can tell, if it's good or not. But you also need the skills. So what is the skills? In this case here, we're gonna be using what kind of software to create our projects. We're gonna be using Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, and Adobe InDesign, right? So this is the first, the tools that you're gonna be having to learn as well. So if you learn the software, it's gonna be easier for you to create your layouts, your designs, your projects that we're gonna be working with, right? So besides learning the principles, we're also gonna have to learn the software. And learning the software is gonna give you the skills, okay, to perform, create those projects. So knowing what to do, the sentence says, knowing what to do is only half the battle. You have to be willing to take the time, put out the effort to do a good job. So how many of you have worked with Photoshop or Illustrator before? Can you raise your hand? Okay. Is it something that you have to really sit and spend some time to learn? It is, right? Because you have all these tools, and it's a great program, but if you have no idea how to work the tools, you pretty much won't be able to do anything with the software, right? So you have to put some time and effort trying to learn the software. We're gonna have some videos to watch, video tutorials. We're gonna do some lessons, and I'm gonna do some class demonstrations here. So hopefully that will give you some knowledge of the software. But I want you to go ahead also on your own and try to explore. If you go online, there are a lot of really nice tutorials to learn the software. even on YouTube, if you go on YouTube and you say, I want to learn how to use the pen tool on Illustrator, you're going to have a lot of good videos there teaching you how to use, a specific tool on the program. So it's really, really helpful. But you have to take the time and try to learn it, because it's not something that, you're just going to come to class a little bit and everything will come to you just like this. Yeah. Now, once you start working on your projects, that's when you're going to really learn it, because you have to put into practice, everything that you learn. And this is how you're really going to absorb all that information, when you put into practice and work on your projects. Okay, so skills in this case here, we're also referring to using the technique appropriately. So that's another thing, is not just using the software, but learning your technique or elements of design and then using this appropriately. So those are the skills. Okay. So for an artist, if he's gonna paint, he needs also the skills, right? To use the brush and the paint and how to mix them and all that. Okay, so what about aesthetics? Have you guys heard about this word before? Do you want to say something, Brennan? Oh, I thought you were raising your hand. So what about aesthetics? What do you guys think about when you hear this word? It's kind of like a deep so we talked a little bit about you're gonna have to do to make aesthetics, judgments throughout your life. So aesthetics is pretty much looking at something and you have to understand it or kind of know if that is good or bad. Okay, so even if you're buying a product, you're gonna use your aesthetic judgment to think, I don't think this looks very good, and I don't want to put this in my house, to decorate my house. So these are all like aesthetic judgments. So all aesthetic concepts do not apply in every case. Okay, use those that are most appropriate in each situation. So this is kind of like a long journey, and you're gonna be learning those aesthetics principles as you go. It's kind of like learning how to train your eye. So communications. Can I have a volunteer to read that quote for me? This paragraph, just this one here. Helen, can you read that one for us? Can you see on the screen? Okay.
Yeah, it is easy to see how subject matter influences communication. The effect of form is less obvious. The course spent more effort on forming meaning than on subject matter.
Okay, so basically, when you're dealing with form is like shapes, colors. It's kind of hard to understand how this can communicate something. Okay, when you see subject matter, what I mean, like if it's a certain object, it's easy to communicate, right? So if you use like an arrow, you're communicating speed or something like this, And when you're talking about form, just basic principles of design, you have to kind of force yourself to learn how to communicate just using form or principles of design. So we're gonna try and learn how form or just color, how color can express something. Okay. Now, usually, for example, let's talk about color here and how color communicates. When you go to a fast food restaurant, what colors do they usually use? Have you guys paid attention to that?
Red colors.
Oranges. What else? You guys said yellow. What else? Red. What kind of colors are those? They call warm colors, right? And do you guys have any ideas why they use this kind of colors? Okay.
Supposedly some of them like make you hungry or like colors of desire and stuff.
It is true. They do make you hungry. Okay. So some things you don't even take in consideration, but yeah, they have a lot of effect, you know, color especially has a lot of effects on us. What about code colors? What are some of the code colors? Usually blue,
White.
some greens, yeah. So what do you think? What kind of feeling you get when you see the color blue? Let's say a light blue.
It's just the warmth, I think, of the sky.
You think of the sky,
Really when like it's like
relaxed. Do you guys agree with that? Kind of like peaceful feeling when you see this kind of color. Okay, and it's interesting also because some colors, they kind of relate to culture, right? For example, if I take the color red, you know, red, how is it in China, Steven? What does red represent? I know
It's
that
kind of
mhm.
like a festival.
Festival, so it's something that's very much part of the culture. To think about festival or
Celebrated.
celebrative. Okay, yeah.
I think it also is like really powerful, and it usually overpowers all the other colors. And I think they use it in communism too. I don't know if that's true.
It's true. That
In
might be
Russia as well.
and it is a pretty powerful color, right? Red. The intensity of it. So you can see how this is just an example. So you can see how form, not just shapes, but color, how those things all can communicate. Okay. Even if we talk about lines, okay, we're gonna get in a little bit more in depth with that, talking about lines and things like that. But if you have a horizontal line, okay, so you get some horizontal lines here on the display. What kind of feeling you get when you look at a horizontal line? Think about a horizontal line as opposed to a diagonal line that will go like this.
It's stable.
So the horizontal, which one is stable?
The horizontal.
Horizontal. Do you guys agree with that? What about the diagonal?
Fell.
Hmm?
Fell. Falling.
You feel like falling or something? What else? Isn't it a little bit more dynamic? You have something diagonal like this, you kind of think about
Decrease.
movement, motion, right? It's a little bit more dynamic than the horizontal. Horizontal, maybe a little bit more peaceful, calm, organized, right? So you're gonna learn through this semester, we're gonna talk about those things, but you're gonna learn how all elements of design communicate something. Okay, even sometimes you don't think about it, but it does have an effect on our minds. Okay. So the last paragraph here says, all art communicates. Every choice about color, shape, placement, etc. makes a difference in the meaning of the finished product. Okay, so we have to keep our goal in mind, okay? Or what is our goal, what we're trying to say, and that's how we're gonna know what we're gonna use and how we're gonna work on our projects. Okay, so do you guys agree that to design is to plan? Do you guys agree with that? Is this true? Okay, what if I don't plan anything? I just start creating something and just to see if it will work out, or can we do that? Okay, let's talk a little bit about this design process. Of course, when we plan, when we have a goal, it's a lot easier to get there. We're gonna try to use things that will help us get there. But sometimes we have a design process here, and it might change. We're gonna talk a little bit more about this. Okay. So the same basic process is used to design everything. And there are three components of the design process. Okay, the first one is the concept. What is the concept? The idea, right? It's right there, the idea. So basically you have to have an idea, at least a vague idea of what you want to do. And then what is form? It's pretty much the whole process or the product, what you're going to have, to work with. Let's say visually, that's your form. Okay, what about the content? What is the content? Let's say here the content is the meaning in this case, okay, in the design process.
Is that also like what you create?
Yeah.
It's like maybe you're brochure that is content or
Yeah, whatever is involved that you're trying to say, like on your brochure, right? That will be your content. And then you're going to have to try and match the form to the content. Is that clear? You're trying to match the form to the content. Okay? So we have to learn that all design is accomplished, and then we're going to, how all design is accomplished, and then learn specific design process for any artwork. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the concept. Concept is going to be pretty much our starting point. Okay, so our first basic idea, and it's going to be our prime mover. So everything is going to start with the idea. So do you guys agree that that's probably the most important part of the design process? Right, so that's how we're getting started with everything. So can we tell what's going to happen though? We have an idea, but can we tell what's going to happen at the end? In most cases, we don't know, right? We have the idea, but we don't know how it's going to turn out. So this is pretty much how it usually works. But that's why as designers, as artists, we have to be flexible. We have to have this certain flexibility. Okay. So we're going to work with the form, or with those principles that we're talking about of design, shape, color, text. We're going to be working with these things, and the end result is going to be the product that we're gonna show. Okay. Now the content. Let's have somebody read for us here the content part of it. Just the first paragraph here. Marnie, can I have you read for us? Just the first paragraph.
This is the bottom line of the design process, the reality check. Only when the form meets the expectations of the concept is the process successful. The content is checked throughout the design. Each step of the doing or making must validate the concept. If the process strays and the results are at odds with the concept, the form must be modified or the project may fail.
Okay. So what do you guys get from that one? The content. So we're trying to combine two different things here, right? Form and the content. And only, it says here, only when the form meets the expectations of the concept is the product successful. Okay, so I can create something that's really beautiful, but it does not really match my content or the meaning of what I'm trying to do here. So is that successful? Probably not, right? Even if it's beautiful, but it's not really doing what it's supposed to do. Okay, and then one thing here is very important to learn is as you're working on a project. Okay, so this happens with me all the time. So let's say I'm starting to work on a project here on my screen, and I have a certain idea here on my head, or let's say I do some sketches on the paper, and then I'm gonna start working on Illustrator to put the idea into the computer. Okay, so during that process, sometimes I have a different idea, okay, and then I go and tweak a little bit that original idea. And that's okay, you know, that's why we need to have that flexibility. Sometimes a better idea will come up as you're working on the project. And as long as it meets what you're trying to say, that's fine, you know, that you change your mind. So usually when we work on our assignments here, I'm gonna ask you to show me some ideas at the beginning. So I'm gonna say, oh, bring your sketches, or I'm gonna go around in class today, and next class, and I'm gonna be looking at what you have, the ideas you have for this project. Okay, so sometimes the students come and show me their ideas, but then they start working on the computer and they totally change, you know, and sometimes they change for the better, way better. So that's why I like to encourage you to always try keep, you know, experimenting during the design process. Okay, it's not necessary that you have to stick to that one idea, because a lot of times your first idea is not your best idea, right? And I ask you to, because this is really easy to do when you're working with digital files. Let's say you create something and you do a save as, so you save that file. And then you go and modify, let's say modify the colors or the size or some design elements, and you click again, save as, instead of just, you know, doing and deleting again. So try and keep a record, keep saving those different changes that you make. And later on you can show me, or can show the class at the end when we have the critique. Say, oh, I came up with these 3 different ones, but I'm not sure which one I like best. Okay, and it's very interesting because sometimes the students, they will show to the class. Most of the class, they will agree with that one, you know, that one work. Sometimes they have people have different tastes, but most of the time the class is gonna agree that one, you know, particular idea is stronger than the others. And sometimes the person who designed it, for them, they don't really see it, that's the best one, you know. But when other people look at it, they're usually gonna say, oh, definitely that one, you know, is the best one. So that's why I encourage all the students to really keep playing with your ideas, exploring, you know, because during the design process, you can really be creative, and you can change. Sometimes also because you're trying to learn the software here, and you say, well, I have this idea in my mind, but I don't know how to put this into the computer. Okay, so that's why we have a lot of the class time to work on the projects. This is more like a studio course, so you're gonna be working in class a lot. And if you have questions, you know, I'm here to help you out. So you can raise your hand and ask for help. I'll come on your desk and help you, try to help answer any questions that you might have as you're trying to figure out the software. So it is okay that you compromise, you know. The last paragraph here says, in most designs there are continual give and take between the concept and the idea. So which one gives depends on the situation. Sometimes the concept is so specific that it cannot be changed. So you have a certain concept that you have to follow. Let's say your client gave you those directions, so you cannot change the concept. Okay, so but the idea or the form is something that you can change, you know, to meet that concept. Or in some cases, you're gonna change the concept to fit your idea. Okay, and if you can change the concept, that's fine. So there's always this give and take in between both. Okay, so sometimes the last sentence there says, sometimes a better idea is found along the way and the concept is changed to take advantage of the new discovery. Okay. So for this semester, I really want you to be open, you know, to your ideas and explore, you know, different concepts that you have in mind or things that you want to create, and keep saving the different variations of the work that you do, so we can look at it and we can analyze. One thing that's also interesting is at the beginning of the semester, the students, they create some projects, and then when it comes to the end of the semester, they will look at the projects and they say, well, now that I look at this, I don't really like it anymore. Okay? Have you guys had that happen to you before? After a while, you look at it and say, oh, I don't like this anymore. And why is that?
We learn new things and we look back, we saw our weakness and we don't want it.
That's true, because you're learning more things, right? So hopefully you're progressing, right? So when you look at something, you say, oh, I see some ways I can improve this, right? And I do that too all the time. I look at some old things and I say, oh, did I do that? But it's very true, you know. I'll tell you the truth is, some of the students, they'll go back and they change some of their early projects that they don't like, but they say, well, I can make this better. So I'll give you the opportunity to do that as well, okay? Because at the end of the semester, we're gonna put a little portfolio together with all the projects that we did during the semester, okay? So in your portfolio, you're gonna choose, you know, let's say you have an older project and you think you can make it even better, you have a chance to do that. And if you do that, of course, you can still improve your grade, okay? So keep exploring, and I want you to be creative. Okay, now talking about creativity, have you guys ever had a creative block? What is a creative block?
Your mind's just blank, you can't think of anything.
That's right. Your mind seems like your mind is blank. Okay. So, what do you guys usually do when you have something like this? And you have a creative block. Like, is it? What do you do? Surf the web?
Just like look at other people's ideas, and like sometimes like when I redid my room, I just was looking through magazines and like circle things that I like just to get, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a very good idea actually. So look at other people's work. Okay, is that good? It is, right? You can get inspired. It's not necessarily saying that you're gonna copy, you know, exactly what you see there, but it might open up your mind for different ideas. You can get inspired by looking at other artists' work. Okay, so what else can you do? That's a very good one.
We could listen to some soft music and totally relax.
True. So that's, you know, like to listen to music. Sometimes music will help your creativity, right? I know a lot of artists, they cannot paint if they don't have music, you know, because the music kind of inspires them. Okay, what else? What's some other ideas?
Do drugs.
What is that? What did you say?
I said do drugs.
Don't do drugs. What else?
Take a break.
Take a break, like step away,
Yes,
right, for a while. That's really good, actually. Yeah, go ahead.
I think like getting out, doing something physical, like exercise, it just opens everything up for me.
Yeah, sure. So kind of goes along with
Yeah, like
what he's
taking a
saying, yeah?
break.
Take a break, you know, go exercise or do yoga, whatever works for you, right? Okay. Another thing too that it's good sometimes, like at least, for example, with to say with photography, you know, when I'm trying to get some new ideas, I just get the camera. and I go out and shoot, you know, whatever it is. So go out and work. So in the case of design, maybe sit on the computer and start doing some work. And then the idea sometimes will come to you, okay? Rather than just thinking so hard, you know. Just sit down and try, you know, try to do something, start doing something. Of course, sometimes you need to, when you're working on a project and you're thinking too hard, and sometimes it's just like Brian saying, take a break and step outside, and then when you look again at your project, you're gonna like, whoa, I know what to do now, you know, this doesn't look good right here, and this, you know, I always have this happen as well. Okay, any other suggestions? These are very good comments that you guys are having. Some things, share your secrets, what you do when you're stuck. I think we kind of, do you want to say something? No, just stretching. So I think we kind of cover a lot of ideas for, it just became green. Oh, weird. Okay. So what kind of mood you get when you see the screen go green? So one thing I wanted to show you today, it's our Photoshop tutorials. So if we go into Blackboard over here, it's under course syllabus. Course information. I hope I didn't delete when I was trying to organize. Well, it's basically a Word document that has a link and the password for the tutorials. But it looks like I did delete. But I have on the past class here that I can open right now for you. And I'll add to our this is the link. I'm gonna upload to our Blackboard right now so you can also. Okay, so basically this is the link. It's on the BYUH website. The screen is really awful, yeah, for the eyes. So you're gonna click on this link, and then you're gonna find the Photoshop tips and tricks, and then learnillustrator.com, which are some tutorials. And then you're gonna use this password and username. Okay. So if you have a hard time reading what's on the screen here, I'm uploading it right now to Blackboard. I'm sorry, under course materials. Move it here so you can see the link right there. Okay, I just added that to your course material, so you should be able to to get it. So when you click on the link, it takes you to this website. Okay, so this is from the Instructional Design and Development web page. And you notice here, those are all free tutorials down here. These are actually, there are some really good ones here, like Photoshop User TV. So these ones are some that you can just go in for free and open and start learning the software. And I want you to start doing that for this week. Okay, start playing with watching those tutorials online, trying to learn a little bit about the software. The ones we're gonna be using here, they're down here. They require a password because it's something that was actually purchased by the school, and it's not really the latest version of Photoshop, but pretty much can give you some ideas on how to use the tools. The tools are pretty much the same. And as we do some demonstrations in class, I'll introduce you to some of the new features on the new updated version of the software, okay? So if you go here to Photoshop Tips and Tricks, this is what we're gonna be using on our class. So let's say here, Tips and Tricks number 4, and we'll ask for the password. So if you go back there, you have fall 2008. Let's see. It's only from 2 years ago. So the password is number 1 for I love to be happy, but LUV to be. So you see, these are all different videos here. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna post on the announcements which ones are you supposed to watch. So I'm gonna say Photoshop tips and tricks number 2. This is the number here, number 2, and then I'm gonna give you all which ones you're supposed to watch. Okay, so I'm gonna say number 3, magic selections. Number I don't know, number 12, separating layer effects. You know, I'm gonna give you the numbers and which themes you're supposed to watch. You don't necessarily need to watch all of them, but they're actually short clips. Like this one here is only 2 minutes. So if you have time, if you really want to learn the program, you can sit and watch as many as you want. Okay, so let's say here the levels adjustments. This is basically learning to adjust the levels on a photograph. I'm not sure if
In this particular photograph, we have a cute little bird here, but the image is a little bit on the flat side, and it lacks contrast, and frankly, it's a little underexposed. So the first tool that I would grab to try to fix this before proceeding would be the Levels tool. So we're going to go to the Layers palette and go to the bottom and add an adjustment layer, selecting Levels. Now, we're presented with our histogram here, and if you've worked with this before, you'll know that the best way to do this is generally to bring our white point and black point values into where our tonal information begins and ends. As you see, the majority of the information in this photograph happens to be piled up into the mid-tone range of our levels. So I'm going to grab the white point slider and drag it into just when we start to see some information in our graph here. And we're going to do the same thing with our black level, or black point rather. So that looks a lot better. We've got a lot more contrast, and the image is definitely brighter, and we've spread this tonal information across all the available tonal values. Now there is a much better way to do this, though, with a hidden key command that Photoshop has provided, which gives us a much better visual cue as to what we're doing with this adjustment. So I'm going to go ahead and reset these values by holding down the Alt key, or the Option key on the Mac, we're going to turn our Cancel button into a Reset button and reset. Now when we grab our white point slider on the right here, we're going to hold down the Alt key or the Option key on the Mac, and you'll see that our image turns black. And when we start dragging it to the left, you'll see that some color information begins to pop through. And that means that this particular information is going to be discarded or clipped wherever we leave this slider. So once we see this information begin to pop through, I'm going to go ahead and back off a little bit to about there. Now we're going to do the same thing with our black point setting. The only difference is the screen will turn white. And as soon as we start to see some color information coming through in our shadow area of our image, we'll start to bring it down a little bit. And we'll leave it about there. So to me, that's a much more pleasing adjustment. It's a little less harsh and less contrasty than our initial setting, and it's still bright enough. So you'll see if, by looking at the graph here that we have actually kept a lot of the highlight information that we would have lost otherwise had we had this slider up to the edge of our graph. So whenever you want to make an adjustment to your photograph, when you bring it into Photoshop and you use levels to do this, remember that you can make a much more accurate selection by using this method. This is Jeff Riggs. I hope you found this to be a useful addition to your Photoshop bag of tricks.
Okay. So basically this was just for you to see how these tutorials work. And this green screen is really bad. But anyways, and also this projector, it's not very accurate the way it's showing the colors there. Of course, the video you're gonna notice it's a lot better. You know, he was showing there how to adjust the levels, but it looked like the photo was a little bit overexposed, right on the. It's because of the projector is not really set, you know, for the right contrast and colors. Okay, so usually, I think I just disconnected my thing. It's okay. Oh, there you go. It's back to white. So usually I'm gonna give you the which videos to watch. For example, this is very helpful, the levels. I pretty much use levels to adjust my images all the time. Because sometimes you take the photo, but it's, like you said, it's a little bit on the flat side, or what is that? There's no contrast, right? It's a little dull, especially if it's overcast outside, you're gonna see, oh, there's no really contrast on this photo. So it's not very exciting. So if you put that on your design, on your layout, what do you think is gonna happen? If you're using a photograph that's not very good, is that going to compromise your design? Probably, right? So usually you're gonna notice when you look at different websites and you say, oh, I really like this website. And you're gonna notice they have really good photos, right? And that may be part of why you like that site so much. So the photos are a very good part of it, of the whole design thing. And as a photographer, I can say that too, right? The photos are a really important part of it. Now, actually, Photoshop is really good for editing your photos. Okay, and most of the work we're gonna be doing photos is with Photoshop, and then we're gonna use what? Mostly Illustrator when it's time to design and to create a poster, because as we mentioned last class, Illustrator is a vector program. So you can blow up your poster as big as you want, and you won't have the problem of having the pixels, right? The text is gonna look not very sharp because, you know, the file is a small Photoshop file. So you won't have to worry about this if you do it on Illustrator. It's a good vector program. And because they are all Adobe programs, you can jump from one program to the other, right? And it's very easy to do that. You can, if you have a photo open on Photoshop, you can just automatically drag it to Illustrator, and because they're all from the same Adobe company. So it's really nice. You can jump back and forth using the different software. And sometimes I'm gonna also bring you different tutorials to watch. or like we have the PDF for the, on our Blackboard, we have a PDF file here for the Photoshop lessons. Okay. So if you go in there, you're gonna see the PDF for Photoshop. Oh, it's actually under here, assignments. So I'm gonna open here so you can see how it works. So right now, I'm just opening here straight from Blackboard, or I can also do what? I can download to my computer. So if you hold on the Mac, you hold Control, and you can download the file as, so you can save it to your desktop. I think it's already there. Okay, this is the layer file. So I'm gonna open here. You can see how it looks. So for this one, I have a few different pages. I actually just open on preview, or you can preview should be fine as well. I'm sure most of you are familiar with, PDF, so it's really simple. You're just basically gonna follow the instruction here on the PDF to create the lesson, okay, or what you're supposed to create. In this case, you're gonna create this poster here about Hawaii. So you have the files that you need to use there. Where's that? These 3 files here, 1, 2, and 3, are the files that you're gonna be using there. Okay, so you need to download all of these files, open them in Photoshop, and then follow through with the lesson here. Okay. So for now, before Thursday, I'm gonna have you start watching some of these video tutorials. Okay, but I'm gonna post it under announcements which ones you're supposed to watch, so you don't have to watch the whole thing. But I want you to just start to watching on your own, and then when we come in on Thursday, we're gonna review some of the things, and we're gonna do a little bit more of Photoshop in class as well. Okay, we still have a few things that we need to cover before we get into learning deeply the software, but we can do at the same time